parents tell me I started singing before I could start talking. Like, so before I could speak,
Wow.
I was singing. So I would sing along to songs on TV and at church and stuff. Because I'm a PK, pastor's kid. So I've been in church all my life. So I've always been singing. It's for as long as I can remember in my existence. I've been singing in church, like from the background, always going to church. I loved worship. And I think at the age of 14, 15, became the worship leader at church. So I led worship for a few years. My worship team back home, Ebedale in Mpumalanga, that's where I come from. And my worship team back home, I remember, was called Power of Praise, POP. And we did quite a few things. You know, as a worship team from a small town back in Mpumalanga. I mean, we opened up for Joy Celebration at some point. We opened up for Babos Fiso the late. Yeah, we opened up. You see, we opened up for the late Babos Fiso at one of his concerts. I think it was in Sekunda, and we also opened up for Babos Mahlau. And so as a worship team, we really did well, being helped by God and under God's grace. And from there, I think after my schooling years, after the education was done, I was like, you know what, I'm so certain, and I've never had doubts for all my life that this is what I want to do. So as soon as I was done with school, literally this is what I jumped and I went through and did this on a full-time.
So done with school, as in done with grade 12, or you also went and did, you know how musicians, they be like, I never planned B, something to fall back on.
No. So
you also do that?
So I went and did civil engineering.
Okay.
But I did not finish.
Alright.
Yeah, I went and did civil engineering. I think I did my level 2 and level 3. I think during level 3, somewhere there, my parents gave me the go ahead and I didn't go through. We see where your heart is, where your love is, and where your passion is. And more than anything, it was a calling also.
Yeah.
So that's where I went into ministry full time, moved to Pretoria, and that's where things just miraculously, for me it was just God. Because I moved to Pretoria, I did a recording with Tibbs David. And he's a long-time family friend, and he's someone who has mentored me even especially in the music side of things for a very long time. For many years, he's a family friend from way back. I did a recording with him, so he brought me in as a backing vocalist to learn. Okay. To say, hey man, we're in Mpumalanga, you're moving to Pretoria, so let me involve you in this project, just so that you learn the things and how we do this and what to do and what not to do. And literally from that recording, from that project, I just started getting bookings.
How did you now, because you knew from a young age, this, it's your calling, this is supposed to be your ministry. How do you now have that discipline to say, okay, I'm going to learn from other people? Because I'm born to be a leader. They want to lead now. Everything must happen now. When did you get this discipline to say, I'm gonna learn and until my time to be in the front comes?
I think I give all the credit for that to my parents and how I was raised. I think my dad really instilled in me the character of not being in a rush and serving for as long as you have to serve until God allows. Because doors open, but the doors that are right are the doors that God opened. I mean, when I left home, my dad said to me, you have served us so well as a church. We have no reason to hold you back. We have to release you because you've been serving faithfully. You've been here, so go and be a blessing to the rest of the world. And the same heart, the same passion, the same character, I brought it with me. So as a BV, I wasn't in a rush to be an artist.
Nice.
But I wanted to learn from. I mean, if I come here and the first person I work with is Tibbs David, and the second person I work with, Babusoli Mahlau. Next thing I'm working with Takindo, your Dr. Dumis, I've worked with Umamondoko Zombambo, Kayam Tetwa. You can't work with all of these people and not want to learn. For me, that would be something foolish. To just want to go ahead when you have the opportunity to learn from so many great people who've gone ahead of you. So I believed I used that time of my life really, really for my benefit, and really learn and really serve wholeheartedly. That's Pastor Filimadu. He's my mentor when it comes to ministry, when it comes to worship. He literally took me to every workshop that he did. So he did worship and music workshops for worship teams at churches. Yeah. And he used to take me with. Yeah. So I would sit down for all of these lessons and all of this training. So when he was training all of these churches, I got that training many times. Yeah. Because the church would get the training once, but because I was going with him everywhere, I was sitting down listening to those lessons so many times until it really got down into my spirit.
Sure. And when I said I'm going to interview Oncemore Six, people were like, are you sure that's his name? Because even myself, when I started knowing your name, I thought it was a stage name. How many times do you get? So what's your real name?
Yo, I get it all the time.
Yeah.
I was recently in Ghana, right? I went to Ghana for the first time. So when I get to the passport control, I gave the passport control officer, the person behind the counter, I gave them my passport. He looked at my passport. He looked at me. He looked at it again. He looked at me. And he turned around. He called all of his friends to literally come see this guy whose name is Oncemore Six. You know? Right. And they had a time of their lives just really trying to believe and process that. So is this really your name and really your surname? So I get it everywhere. I get it everywhere in around South Africa, out of the country. Like, it's the same everywhere. I don't know if I should thank my parents or because it's a unique name.
It's such anywhere a unique in the name. World. It's like they knew that you were going to be famous and you needed something so unique.
Yeah. So, but it makes it easy because after they check that and they laugh about it, they just stamp it and I pass through. So it makes my traveling experience really a beautiful one. But I get it all the time. So
did your parents explain why they chose to say Oncemore?
Yeah. So before me, my parents had a miscarriage. Right?
Okay.
So when I was born, their prayer was, the Lord has blessed us once more. But I always give this analogy that it's the same as God giving me a fried egg. Just fried egg. Once more, take this, give it to my people. And then I take it, because of the pressures of the industry, I take that egg, salt, pepper, 6 gun, maybe a little bit of relish, maybe put a slice of toast, because the egg is a bit boring. The egg is, So I decided not to put any 6 gun, any salt. I just wanted to take that meal that God had prepared and given me to give to his people and give it to his people as it is. Wow. And I really try by all means not to overdo it. Because by being creative, and I'm not trying to write songs that will be hits. I'm not trying to make the next great song. I'm just trying to give the body of Christ what God gave me to give them. And those songs always, they change my life first, even before they're released, and I sing them to the church, to the body of Christ. When I receive those songs, they are life-changing. They deal with me, they change me, they challenge me, transform me. And so I really try and wait on my songs, and I try not to over-complicate and add too much on what God gave me to give to his people. And it's been beautiful. The church has received it well. And the next song was Umkhuleko Webandla. And simply, this was inspired by, we criticize the church a lot. We correct the things that are wrong that we see happening in the church, which is not bad, and is not a bad thing. But it can't end there. We need to pray for the church, So I really want to invest in inspiring worshipers, inspiring up-and-coming ministers, musicians who will just grow and be trained into really glorifying God in their ministry, in their worship, in their musicianship, and in what they do. So this year, I'll be spending this year really, really, really focusing on trying to train, inspire, and teach, helped by God, by God's grace, teach what I know to more ministers.